To be Yap Ah Loy or not to be Yap Ah Loy? That's the question. Hi everyone, I'm Carmen and welcome back to my channel. So today I will be sharing with you guys about Yap Ah Loy with my friends.
Hi, I'm Xuan. I'm Pei. I'm Jovie. I'm Shang.
And yeah, so basically I will be acting as Yap Ah Loy, and yes, this will be the story of my life. So without further ado, let's start. So it all happens on
In 1833, the British invaded China by force.
Need to go first. Bye.
The British ordered the Chinese not to interfere with the opium trade. In June, the First Opium War broke out. The China was defeated and was forced to sign the Treaty of Nanking, and other Western countries also gained the benefits by bullying China.
Later.
China lost and were facing economic crisis. Yap Ah Loy stopped studying after 2 years of school and started working at the age of 14.
When he was 18 years old, he found out that life in his hometown was difficult, and he decided to develop more in the South Seas in 1854. After a month or so, when Yap Ah Loy arrived in Malacca, he was in the care of his relatives, Yap Katsi. His relatives had also introduced him to work in the tin mines for only 4 months due to the fact that the tin mining business was having a hard time. Yap Ah Loy went to Yoshiyama to work as a worker in Ye-U's store. After a year, Ye-U gave an amount of money to send Yap Ah Loy back to China. Yap Ah Loy did not dare to disobey Ye-U's order to return to China. So he took a boat to Singapore with the intentions of going back to China from Singapore. Yap Ah Loy moored his boat somewhere in Singapore and went gambling. Unfortunately, he lost all of his money in it, which caused him to be unable to return to China. Therefore, he went back to Malacca.
He was afraid to face his relative after losing all the money, so he set out from Malacca to Lukut with his companion Yap Ho. Many mines in Selangor were developed by Raja Selangor. Yap Ah Loy and his fellow companions worked there. At the age of 20, he worked at the mine where Chang was the general superintendent there. Within 3 years, he slowly saved enough money and started his own business. In the year 1860, 2 Malay leaders fought against each other to get the Chinese mining area. This caused Hai San and Yi Heng to be involved in it. Due to the fact that both Hai San and Yi Heng have their own benefits, they support 2 different Malay leaders. On 26 August 1860, the war started. Captain Sung Ming Lee, who belongs to the Hai San party, lost due to the reason that he didn't do enough preparation for the war. Captain Sung Ming Lee brought the rest of his men to seek asylum from Raja Jumaat from Lukut to Forest. Unfortunately, they were lost in the woods and there was no food anymore, so they were forced to go back to Seremban. However, they were caught by the Malay leader when they were going back to Seremban. Even though Captain Semli begged him to spare his life, but in the end, he was still beheaded. Liu Yingkom, who was the Captain Sung Ming Lee's underling, was also seriously injured, escaping to Lukut to get medical treatment. After Liu Yingkom recovered from his injuries, he went to Malacca. Yap Ah Loy, as a Captain Sung Ming Lee's vice commander, also escaped through the forest after they lost the fight. Yap Ah Loy was hiding in the charcoal burner house, but he was tracked by his enemies and they fired at him. Yap Ah Loy's heart was shot when he's running away from the enemies, so he escaped to Lukut through the woods. The war in Seremban went on for 6 months before it ended. According to statistics, there are a lot of people who killed and sacrificed in this war. 6,000 Chinese had died and a lot of Malays had died too. Through this incident, the Chinese and Malay felt that the war can't solve anything. Therefore, they decided to end this nonsense by reaching an understanding with each other. The war was successfully ended. Both parties agreed to choose a Chinese captain to maintain the order. Yap Ah Sheikh, who was running a gambling business, was chosen as captain.
You see where you stand is all my world, so my.
But Yap Ah Sheikh suggests Yap Ah Loy to be captain because Yap Ah Loy had shown his bravery in the war and he was also good in managing the miners.
Let me introduce to you our new captain, Yap Ah Loy! Thank you!
Another reason was that Yap Ah Sheikh was more interested in managing his business.
Liu Ninkong really values Yap Ah Loy a lot because of his ability to work. Therefore, he allowed Yap Ah Loy to manage 2 mines. Liu Ninkong didn't want Yap Ah Loy to go back to China, so he found a girl from Malacca for him to marry. In 1868, Liu Ninkong was seriously ill, and before he died, he would like to be succeeded by Yap Foh as Capitan, but he had no intention to take up the important role.
Be my captain, please.
Liu Ninkong knew that he would die soon, obtained the Sultan's consent to let Yap Ah Loy take up the important role of Capitan.
Yap Ah Loy. This is my last word. Please be captain for me.
Yes, I will. I will be captain for you.
Thank you.
After the death of Liu Ninkong, Liu, Guan, Chong, Chao were not satisfied with the decision of letting Yap Ah Loy become the Capitan. Fortunately, Sultan Abdul Samad, who was influencer, helped him to recognize his position. After Yap Ah Loy became the Capitan of Kuala Lumpur, there was still a group of people who are not convinced. In order to protect the local security and to avoid foreign invasion, Yap Ah Loy organized an elite force. His elite troops, led by his right-hand man, Chong Piang and Cho Fat, were at the side of Yap Ah Loy at all times.
Yap Ah Loy created law, built a jail and managed the civil affairs. Due to his strict way of handling, Yap Ah Loy received a good reputation from residents. The water and land transportation in Selangor and Klang became safer, and the business in Selangor and Klang started to develop rapidly. When Yap Ah Loy was operating Kuala Lumpur, the Malay royal family in Selangor started to have conflict between each other because of the taxing rights for tin rice. Yap Ah Loy was aware that he would be forced to be involved in this conflict, so he began to strengthen his internal organization. On the other hand, he had also strived for the Malay Sultan's support. As the situation started to get more and more chaotic, Yap Ah Loy knew that he can't avoid this. Therefore, to ensure the benefits of the tin mines, Yap Ah Loy chose to ally with Tengku Kutin.
In 1869, Chong frequently provoked Yap Ah Loy and Shang Company. However, no one cared about it, so Chong just left KL and went to Ulu Kelang quietly. Not for long, he went back to KL to make more trouble, but the trend was controlled by Yap Ah Loy. Chongchang also led the Kayin people to settle down at Jianzhong and became the core person who was dissatisfied with Yap Ah Loy. He also became the leader of the Kayin people. Yap Si has become a wealthy person as he was doing well in his business. Therefore, when Yap Si found that the local Jiang people were dissatisfied with Yap Ah Loy and how powerful Chongchang is becoming, he wanted to leave Jianzhong and go back to KL. The appearance of Chongchang made Yap Si feel that he had to go back to KL immediately. This is because if Chongchang incited the Jiang people to attack Yap Ah Loy, he would be the first one to be dealt with.
To be safe, Yap Si decided to leave early in the morning. However, he was attacked and killed by Chongchang's men in the foothills.
Who killed my Yap for?
It's Chong Chang.
Louder! Is it you? Who is it?
It's Chong Chang.
Yap Ah Loy prepared himself to go to Jianzhong to investigate the death of Yap Si. At the same time, he had also organized a team of 1,000 people to Jianzhong to take back Yap Si corpses. Yap Ah Loy summoned Chongchang, but Chongchang had already escaped. Yap Ah Loy can't do anything at the moment, so he decided to take Yap Si corpses back to KL. On his way back to KL, he was informed about Chongchang's whereabouts.
Captain, I have something to report.
What is it?
We found that Chong Chang is hiding in a village and located in Rawang.
In Rawang. Quickly, soldiers, let's go to Rawang. Yeah! Yap For, I will revenge for you! Yeah!
Yap Ah Loy immediately summoned Chongchang, but Chongchang ignored him. Not for long, a conflict between Yap Ah Loy and Chongchang started, and Chongchang once again succeeded in escaping through the forest. Yap Ah Loy was angry and had no choice but to capture Chongchang's wife and child and take them back to KL.
Honey, come save us, please.
Chongchang had no choice but to join the Sultan and Tengku Kutin's hostile camp. Since 1868, Yap Ah Loy has been actively operating Kuala Lumpur, which leads the business in KL to develop rapidly. But at the time, there was another war which was going to happen in Selangor. Due to the issue of the taxing rights for the tin, both parties of the Malay royal families couldn't compromise, which caused an argument. Yap Ah Loy was well aware that Kuala Lumpur is located on the upper part of Klang River and that tin must be shipped abroad via Klang. So he must work with the head of the Klang so that the transportations of tin can be smooth and unhindered. In March of 1870, Tengku Kutin defeated Raja Madi and became the head of the Klang. However, the aftermath of the war was still affecting Selangor. After Raja Madi was defeated by Tengku Kutin, he escaped to Sungai Buloh. A few months after Madi escapes to Sungai Buloh, he was captured in Kuala Selangor in July 1870.
At that time, the Regency Ministry sent a Malay warrior Sheikh Mashhor to assist in fighting against Mehdi's force. Mehdi did not get along with the regent, so when he was defeated, he joined Chongchang's force. In other words, the anti-Yap Ah Loy force are getting bigger and bigger day by day.
Anti-Yap Ah Loy.
Kuala Selangor, which was occupied by Mehdi, was covered by Gudin's army. After recapturing Kuala Selangor, Gudin actively developed the Klang mining industry. Chongchang and Mashhor, a light force, kicked off the attack on Kuala Lumpur. At the beginning, they only had 400 people, but it gradually increased to 2,500 people after they arrived in Ampang. The strength of the troops is comparable to Yap Ah Loy's.
Yap Ah Loy knew where the two of them were camped, so he organized a meeting with the people and discussed the countermeasures. Cho Fat and Dong Fun were woken up by the sound of gunshots.
What happened? What the heck just happened? Do you know what happened?
Don't know eh.
What the heck?
Oh my god.
Hey, we should go and check it out.
Okay.
Let's go.
Chofat and Nongfen immediately asked for support in the battle. Ma Xiu and Chang lead the army and attacked them from behind. Chofat and Nongfen realized that they were in the bad situation. Fortunately, 40 reinforcements led by Chongping arrived in time. Then, Chongping fought with Chang.
Come on.
Due to that, the reinforcement arrived and Chongfat and Nongkun got support, so they were able to attack Chongchang and Ma Xiu. Therefore, Ma Xiu and Chongchang defeat the war and escaped to Ampang. After a few days, he arrived and kept on talking about the strategic war.
Chongchang suggests to Ma Xiu to keep attacking Yap Ah Loy's sides when their team was still unstable. In consequence, they attack Yap Ah Loy's force every day in order to infest Team Yap Ah Loy. However, their fights last for a month and still can't decide the winner. Larayasa dan Sultan Puyasa got in Kangkang with 400 soldiers. Dongsan commanded his 300 soldiers to block the meeting between Chongchang and Longyue with the residents of Jiazhou. Chofa and Dongquan led 500 soldiers to fight with Chongchang, while Zongbing brings the remaining soldiers to attack Chudong. When Team Yap Ah Loy finished their preparation and strategy, Chudong started their aggressive following the path from Ampang to Kuala Lumpur at 10 a.m. The war lasted until evening. 500 soldiers dead and plenty of injured in Chongchang team. At night, Chongchang and Ma Xiu knew that their team was going to defeat. Therefore, they considered renouncing Ampang and run away. They escaped from the war area. Chongchang escaped to Kuala Langkiu, while Ma Xiu escaped to Ulu Selangor. At the end of the war, the damage of Team Yap Ah Loy was only slight. Chongchang and Ma Xiu hold a huge number of casualties because their soldiers were almost all miners or peasants that didn't go through serious or strict training. In consequence, they failed. After the war, Yap Ah Loy led 200 attendants to inspect and at the same time received the welcoming from residents of Ampang. Residents of Ampang complained to Yap Ah Loy about the damage in the war and the savage act from the team Chongchang.
Yap Ah Loy showed sympathy to the residents of Ampang and promised to help them rebuild their hometown. After that, Yap Ah Loy returned to Kuala Lumpur. Unfortunately, 1 year after the War of Ampang, another war in Rawang began.
Don't worry, I will help you all.
In the War of Rawang, Ma Xiu was defeated. Yap Ah Loy's total military force was only 1,300 soldiers. 100 of them had sacrificed in the war. In the War of Kuala Lumpur, 1,700 soldiers in Yap Ah Loy's team sacrificed, including the two main leaders Dong Quang and Deng Shang.
Yap Ah Loy brings in laborers from Sungai Buloh, Klang and China, and soon the business activities started to work like usual. He also observed that Selangor was suitable for rice cultivations and encouraged the Malays in the area to plant rice. In less than 2 years, the rice fields in Cheras and Kajang have grown well. Other than that, Yap Ah Loy's main responsibility in the management of Chinese areas. As for the Malays, they were governed by their own leader. In 1873 to 1875, the reconstructions after the wars was basically completed. Moreover, the population in KL tripled. However, Klang began to fall and in September 1879. The first British officer was sent to Kuala Lumpur to stay. Kuala Lumpur was upgraded and became the central government of Selangor. Unfortunately, on January 4, 1881, a major fire broke out in Kuala Lumpur and the city burned down. Yap Ah Loy quickly gathered the people to clean up the disaster site and rebuild with the new materials, which are abandoned wooden planks and yatta leaves, instead using bricks and tiles.
In December, Kuala Lumpur was again hit by another major flood, which swept away 92 houses and submerged many minerals. Despite the two major calamities, Yap Ah Loy's determination was not defeated. In 1884, the reconstruction in Kuala Lumpur was considered the most active, with the construction of 234 additional housing units in Kuala Lumpur. Not only that, another important commercial activity that Yap Ah Loy did was the cultivation and process of muds in Kuala Lumpur Petaling Street. Last but not least, he also had provided a lot of public service, such as setting up a shelter for the poor and sick to get food, setting up a private Chinese school, as well as the establishment of the Tongsin Sizia.
In 1884, Yap Ah Loy planned to go back to China. However, the plan failed to achieve due to the reason that Yap Ah Loy was sick in the same year. He was diagnosed with bronchitis. In March 1885, his illness became worse and he died on 15 April at the age of 48. On the day of the funeral, many officials from different departments in the colonial government attended.
The political secretary, Mr. Lau, gave an eulogy himself, and all residents in KL mourned for Yap Ah Loy. When Yap Ah Loy passed away, his eldest son Han Jin was only 16 years old. According to his testament, his heritage will be hosted by Yap Ah Shak and Zhao Yu. After 10 years of hard work, Yap Ah Loy was considered as the biggest hero in exploiting Kuala Lumpur.